So I watched all of the XFL games opening weekend, and I went into it with low expectations and an open mind, and I have to say that it was not. What's going on, football fans? I know that I left you on a little cliffhanger there, so let me go ahead and finish that thought for you. The XFL was not that bad. It's not the XFL that you remember. It's better. What I would like to do is take a moment and talk about the good and the bad things about the XFL. Kind of a first set of games, first XFL weekend review. My initial thoughts and impressions. So let's start with the good. What are some things that I liked about the XFL? I love the kickoff. I realize that on paper it sounds kind of weird, right? The coverage team and the return team lining up just 5 yards apart. Both of them not being able to move until the returner catches the ball or the ball touches the ground for at least 3 seconds. But it works. I'm that guy that says football is football. You know that you're going to get hit and you know it's going to hurt. You got to be tough. But this just makes sense. And for those of you that didn't watch the XFL, I can promise you that it doesn't eliminate the possibility of a big kick return. All you really need to do is make a couple of guys miss and you're taking it to the house. And I really like the way PATs work. The fact that you can come away with up to 9 points after a possession really changes the way that you look at a deficit or a lead. Even if the team you're rooting for is down, you feel like they're still in it, like there's still a chance that they could come back. Unless you're me and you're rooting for the Vipers, because apparently every team that I like loses. Another great thing was the all-around faster pace of, well, everything. It kept me engaged and it felt like things were, for the most part, continuing to move along quickly. Less timeouts, no coaches challenges, a 10-minute halftime, a 25-second play clock. Everything felt very smooth, and the production value felt good. You can tell that a lot of work and money has gone into this to make it legit. Another positive was that some of the players were just straight up enjoyable to watch. I know myself personally that every single time Houston Roughnecks quarterback PJ Walker had the ball in his hands, I was holding my breath because you just knew that something exciting was about to happen. You got to think about the fact that these guys aren't getting paid millions of dollars like NFL players are, but it shows that some of them are taking full advantage of the opportunity to play football again. They're very thankful for the opportunity, and it definitely shows. And you know we got to talk about the mic'd up players, coaches, and refs because it gave fans a pretty cool inside look. Let's just say, for example, that you don't agree with an overturned call by the replay official. What's cool is you get to sit back and listen to how he came to his decision because he's mic'd up while he's reviewing the play. But speaking of mic'd up coaches, players, and refs, let's move on and talk about the bad because not everything was good opening weekend for the XFL. I feel like there were way too many sideline interviews with players. At times it seemed like it was starting to distract them and maybe even possibly annoy some of them. Let us never forget when a player dropped the F-bomb in one of those sideline interviews in the first XFL game on live television. Again, I like the idea, but maybe cut down on the sideline interviews a little bit. And this next one may not sound like a big deal to many of you, but cameras in the locker room at halftime is a big no for me. I didn't like that at all. It's cool to get an inside look and all, but there's just some places that a camera shouldn't go, and the locker room at halftime is just one of those places. Another negative would be that even though the XFL is built around less stall and more ball, it's kind of one of their mottos, right? It was very apparent that some of the players, especially in the fourth quarters of some of the games, just couldn't keep up. Some of the players were definitely in better shape than others, and one of them even puked on the field when lining up for the next play. We knew that some of the XFL players would be considered second-tier talent, right? Because, I mean, they're playing in the XFL. This is not the NFL. But it was kind of weird at times to watch some of the guys match up when you could tell that one of them was closer to that next level than some of the other guys, if that makes sense. But let me tell you something. The XFL does have some serious potential, much more, in my opinion, than the AAF did. Now, me personally, the biggest hurdle I believe that the XFL is going to have to overcome is building relationships and creating bonds with fans. And what I mean by that is people need a team to cheer for. They're going to have a favorite. Otherwise, they won't feel as invested when they're watching the games. It's just another Saturday or Sunday afternoon with two teams playing football if you don't care about the outcome. You're watching football just to watch football. The NFL and college football are already so established. They've been around for so many years. There's so much history behind all of the teams. But the interesting thing here is that the XFL is not trying really to compete with the NFL or college football. It happens after college football is over, after the NFL is over. So they're not really trying to be number one, so to say. I feel like the XFL will always be number three, and they're okay with that. They're not competing with the NFL and college. We are watching football in February. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. Those are kind of my pros and cons to the XFL after watching all of the games opening weekend. But let me know, please, down in the comment section below, your reactions to the opening weekend of the XFL. Again, we're going to see what happens. People were really hyped on the AAF, but it was a little different scenario, right? Vince McMahon has ponied up and put a lot of money into this. A lot of work has happened. And again, I was impressed overall with the production value. All of the overlays, everything seemed to go relatively smooth. But we talked about a couple of hurdles and things I think they'll need to overcome to stick around more than just a year or two. But please let me know your reactions down in the comment section below. As I've said many times, this isn't really an XFL channel, so to say, but we might start doing more XFL content. Again, I'm rooting for the Vipers, but we're already 0-1, so you know it is what it is. So I don't know if I'd recommend cheering for the Vipers if that's who Coop is cheering for, because usually teams I cheer for just don't, it doesn't really pan out, all right? Hey, remember though, guys, I don't know how to do these outros because it's not talking about Miami, so we're going to do it anyways. Remember, guys, we're all one big happy football family. But at the end of the day, I got to say, it's always better when you get to rep the U and the Vipers. Let's go.